What's up, everybody? Welcome back. The next 12 weeks are sponsored by Alex Jimenez. Alex is a coach, a speaker, and a VA home loan specialist. To learn more about how Alex Jimenez is serving the veteran community as well as our local community, go to ajnashville.com. If you guys remember last week, we left off with Mike doing some introductions. Mike, you got the hot seat, brother.
What's up, Greg Pihs? It is so good to be back with you. Last week in Stepping Into Your Power, Greg and I went through like his first years and then into his young early adult profession. And we uncovered a huge piece of this amazing puzzle, which I cannot wait to get back into with you guys. So just as a refresh, let me move this mic down a little bit. So just as a quick refresh, Greg managed a restaurant. And for those of you who don't know, who haven't worked in a restaurant before, the industry is very complex and very simple at the same time because they're just delivering food, taking orders, cleaning up plates. There's a hell of a lot more to it than that. Also, it's one of the highest turnover, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong. It's one of the highest turnover industries in the world.
Yeah, I think if I remember, it's been 4 years. I think we would try to keep our turnover percent at or below 100%. At or below 100%. That wasn't acceptable if I remember correctly. So turning over 100% of your staff was acceptable.
And it's one of those things like the car business or any other business like that, where you have your lifers, right? And then you have the people that are they don't give a shit and they're there because they need a little bit of money for partying. And then, you know what I mean? You have these different like subcategories within that.
Yes.
And they worked at all the other restaurants and they come there the first day telling you about how shitty the other one was. and how they've heard the grass is so much greener at this restaurant, right?
Oh, man.
And it's literally the same exact shit. It's just a different pile. Sorry for all the metaphors, not sorry for the metaphors, but that's what it is. And so we have identified that Greg took from being the manager at this restaurant, his primary function was like leading a charge every day with multiple personalities from different backgrounds with different primary motivational factors in their life. And Greg would take this pile of, let's just call it variables and unknowns, and he would motivate it to be a fine-tuned machine. And this became one of his most valuable skill sets. And until last week, when we really, really like went deep dive into this, I actually don't know how much you actually appreciated that restaurant business that you were in, because Greg, by the way, has done a ton of cool stuff. And when you talk to him about what he's done, it usually doesn't say like that's one of the glossed over terms. He also served multiple tours overseas as a U.S. Marine. Thank you. He also runs a real estate team. He also has an incredible company called the GP Mind Growth Academy, which teaches you, well, we'll leave that for later, other than it teaches you how to unlock this massive, amazing potential which you have in between your ears and use it for so many things. But one of the reasons he's so good at doing these different things is because he spent time learning how to understand and move multiple variables and personalities and motivate them.
Dude, I gotta tell you, I tell everyone all the time, so I did serve, a lot of people say, well, a lot of people will listen to this and you'll say, well, I served 8 years in the Marine Corps. And they say, well, 8 years in the Marine Corps. Well, that's why he learned leadership. I've told people before, and I'm going to tell everyone again. I was enlisted. You can be enlisted or you can be an officer. I wasn't that smart. No, I'm just kidding a little bit. I was enlisted, so I was a grunt. I was a doer. The guy digging the foxhole and so forth. And as you climb ranks, you get. I mean, a little bit, you become an NCO. I mean, you have 2 people under you, and 20 ahead of you. What I'm getting at is the way I quantify my military experience. The military taught me how to be a really good follower. Maybe I didn't hang out long enough, but I would say the military did not teach me how to be a good leader. And I would even go as far as to say, I'm comfortable saying this. I'm going to freak some people out. Let's get in there. I would even go as far as to say the military does not create good leaders. Greg, you can't say that. Listen, if you served 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years in the military and you're an exceptional leader, good. That's because you invested in yourself and read a lot of books. That's because you did the task, you did the things. That's because you fucking treated your people with respect. The
All
military as a
right.
whole teaches you how to lead with a really big iron hammer.
All right, this is valuable. Let's talk about this a little bit. We have a lot of listeners that are in different fields, okay? Real estate, medical, maybe they're a teacher, maybe they're listening to this on the way to their work in corporate America, or maybe they're overseas. The point is, you may not have a leadership role. Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you harnessed the being a good student factor, which is what I heard when you said doesn't teach you how to be a good leader. I thought, oh, it's probably because it taught you how to be an exceptional follower. So, how have you used the skill set as being an exceptional follower to step into your power as a leader now?
I met myself. And so what I mean is there's two versions of Greg. Oh, and I said that there's two versions of Greg. I remember in 2012 I read a book called The 1 Minute Manager. It's definitely worth a read. It's an exceptional book. It's maybe in my top 25. And I read that book, and I was very early on my journey of reading books. And earlier in life, like the fact of the matter is, when I talk about the military, like I did not understand leadership. Most of us don't. Okay, and so when I read these books, it was like major eye opening. If you had good leadership in your life, if you've had decent parents, see shit for parents for me, ran away at 10, joined me. Okay, if you had good examples of leadership, you might understand leadership more than what I had at that time. But I didn't understand. So I'd read these books and I was like, what? Like, I really felt like I found the secrets. I was like, oh, this is how you do leadership. Well, I knew how to be a good follower. So I said, Greg's not good at leading. I literally went to work one day. I remember everyone looking at me weird. I went to work one day and I said, Greg has no clue what's going on. So I fired him. I'll be in charge. If you need anything from Greg, you can come to me. So I now created an alter ego. I think we did an episode on that if y'all missed out on it. I now created an alter ego of Greg, the leader, and Greg, the follower, already knew how to take orders. So when I told myself what to do, oh, it's fucking easy because I was a great follower. So then I began doing the tasks. So that's how I was a really good student. I was a good student for myself. I read these
Okay.
books and I listened to myself. Go ahead.
No, I like this. Let's talk a little bit about there must have been a tipping point in your head when, or in your life, when you said, you know what? No pun intended. The ceiling is too low at
Mm,
this restaurant. I still have a boss. Even though I'm a leader and I have a lot of people underneath me, I have a cap, like an income cap, a control cap, an ability cap, a cap of, I can only pour back so much. What did that look like? I mean, and I could be
dude,
off on
100%.
those. I'm making assumptions.
No, 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 no. There's a story to go with it. Before I dive into that one, I'm going to give a couple books for those of you that are in leadership roles.
Awesome.
To name a couple off. These books I literally read while I was in management, and they altered the way I led people hardcore. All right, the first one is the CEO of, what was he, GE, I think, Jack Welch. The book is called Winning. It will change the way you lead people.
I have
Leadership,
that right over there.
leadership strategies and tactics, Jocko Willink. The 7 levels of communication, Michael Mayer. Hold on, let me scroll down because there's a few more really, really good ones. The talent code's okay. I did read that, but that was after. How did this happen? Holy crap. One of the single best books I've learned on managing groups of people. That is part 2 to the Oz Principles. If you haven't read the Oz Principles, read the Oz Principles. It teaches you very clearly how to lead people. I tell people, what I extracted from the book, I'm not quoting the book on saying this, but accountability is a dirty word without expectations. That's my own personal saying. We hold our people accountable to doing something quick, fast, clean, good, but we never tell them what we expect or what the bar of quick, fast, clean, good is for us. Give people a mark that they can hit, and they will go 1 inch above so that they can stand there with their chest out and say, I know you wanted 10, but I did 12. And then praise your people instead of saying, hey, I need a lot done. And they get 12 done and like, hey, I did 12. And you're like, 12? I was hoping for 15. And now your people feel like shit because you didn't have the expectation conversation that you really wanted 15 instead of the word a lot. Okay, so the Oz Principles, how did this happen? And then there's 2 more that I want to give you. Actually, there's 3 more. The 5 dysfunctions of a team. Absolutely incredible. The next one is the 3 signs of a miserable job. Holy shit. And the last one I'm going to give you is the Go Giver. Those
Wow.
books were read while I was in the restaurant industry and directly altered the trajectory of how I led other humans in
Wow.
actual management leadership roles. Not just leading them as empowering them, as today I'm a motivational speaker, but this is in terms of leading people as in getting people to do tasks and
Wow.
holding people accountable and delivering proper expectations to people. Now, dude, I want to,
Um,
oh, go ahead, put it on me because I still want to answer your other question, but go ahead, put it on me.
Answer the other question real quick.
Okay. The other question was like tipping point.
Yes.
So the tipping point when I entered the restaurant industry, I think it's important. Let's back up a little bit. So about 2 years before the restaurant industry, I started my own cleaning company. I started it with almost no money. Like maybe I had like, and I mean, when I say like, I just want you guys, I don't know the exact dollar amount. You know, you hear these stupid stories like The Rock started with 73 cents in his account. Did he? I don't know. And started, or you had that once upon a time because you made poor decisions. Okay. I don't know. When my business started, it had about $250 to my whole name. That's like the savings. That's liquid to the name. Now, maybe it was 300, maybe it was 150. I don't know. Okay. But right about that playing field. So I bought a shop vac, a broom, a dustpan, a bag of terry cloth rags, a can of glass cleaner, and a mop from Lowe's. And I started. So not much. I go out and I start cleaning. Business did good, high level of integrity, so on and so forth. We grow the business pretty good. However, I didn't know how to manage a business at the time. So we were hemorrhaging money. We started on employees. And so like this business is running, but like I'm only bringing in like $2,000 a month to the house. That's $24,000 a year. That's horridly broke. The rest of the money's just hemorrhaging out in the business because I have no clue how to run a business. So $24,000 a year is like horridly broke. And me and my wife were committed to doing date night once a week. We had a $100 budget. This is in 2014 to help everyone for perspective. We had a $100 budget a month for date nights. That's $25 a week. You ever try to have date night with $25 a week?
Yes. Well,
You
with
know,
25 per date, I've done it. I've had that budget.
and for a year, like not like we'll try and see if we like this was fucking it, man.
What we
This was
had.
it. And you start learning your spouse for real because you're not getting distracted by the BS. All right, so me and my wife went on a date night to TGI Fridays. Like it was probably like a fucking $10 all you can eat appetizer night or something dead serious, right? And I told the experience happened. Now, mind you, we didn't get to eat out that often. I mean, like seldomly, like maybe a couple times the whole year. When you're making $24,000 a year, you don't eat out much. Okay. So we didn't have these experiences a lot. And as a kid, I didn't have these experiences a lot. So we went out and ate. And I looked at my wife and I said, this seems really easy. I bet I could serve and I'll just serve a couple nights a week. And we'll take the money that I make from serving and that'll be our date night money. So we don't have to do $100 budget no more. And my wife said, okay. And so I went in the restaurant and I said, hey, I literally walked in one day and I speak to manager. Manager came out and I said, hey, my name's Greg. And I just came so I can start serving for you. That's what I told him. She said, did you fill out an application? I said, no. She said, I think you have to start there. I said, all right, cool. Give me one. All right. The point is, the restaurant industry, when I got in the restaurant industry, it was make a couple of extra dollars serving. So I get in, I start serving, making plenty of money as a server. All you have to do is take care of people. Holy shit, the secret's out. Don't tell all the other servers because they'll go get rich. So I'm making plenty of money serving. And within no time, I brought the mentality of, now here's what's cool. Do you know how the restaurant industry helps me in real estate? The cleaning business helps me in the restaurant industry. In the cleaning business, because I owned it, the buck had to stop with me. We like to say the buck stops with me, but like how hardcore do we live that? Like no matter what, like if we're 2 minutes late, like we tell someone like what happened. But like with the business, like if you're like I'm the guy and I'm there and they get to talk to me and I'm the owner. Like the buck stops right here. It's my fault. So I adopted extreme ownership before the book was written. I adopted extreme ownership because it was all me. So anytime something happened in my business, I learned to say that's my fault and I'll fix it right now. It shouldn't have happened. I fucked up. We're fixing it right now. I took this in the restaurant industry. I didn't really realize it just happened. So like if something happened at the table, like I didn't go get a manager. Like I would pay out of my like if I brought the wrong appetizer out, I'd leave it at the table, take it off their tab by paying it out of my tips, and go get the next appetizer. We're not even waiting for a manager to come over your table while the food's getting cold. Yeah, right. I messed up and
Right.
brought the wrong app out. Okay, within a couple months, the restaurant industry was like, "Hey, can you be a manager for us?" Okay.
Yeah, pause real quick. What you just said was actually what one thing that I really like to highlight here is the depth, because this stuff is very simple to you because you've mastered it and because you've spent so much time doing it and immersed in it. But these little things can change a server listening to this entire life. If you take care of your people, like your service to them is contingent upon the knife going through your heart or not. Like literally, hey guys, how's it going? I'm Mike Cimorelli. Welcome to, you know, Jonathan's. How about some ice waters? Don't ask them if they want water. Say, how about someone, whatever, be nice to them. Do you want ice cubes in it? Do you want this, that? You want an appetizers? I mean, anyway, there's a whole protocol of things you could say that work really well for, different places, different strokes for different folks, and also how the people present themselves. But this is a whole other conversation. The point in saying this, though, is that Greg started this. It sounds like you were paying attention to what the people presented that they wanted. Like you could tell if it's somebody that wants to spend a long time at that restaurant, and you're going to take care of them differently versus this is a big group. The guy looks like he's put together and he's trying to keep the group herded together. Those types of dudes, if you mirror them, you take care of that dude, he will tip you very well. If you keep his group together, he knows you're helping him with his job. And if you make subtle gestures to that, you know the person I'm talking about, right? It's like the dad, he's got the kids' friends there. They just left a soccer team. The wives are over there gossiping. I'm not saying all you ladies are doing that. I'm just saying there's usually
just that group of wives is
right. Well, it's usually the person in charge. There's usually an alpha that's there, and it could be a woman. I'm just saying it's usually the dad of the whatever mix. If you lock into that person, hey, how can I make your experience here awesome so that you come back? Like in your mind, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And then the person says, oh, hey, yeah. Oh, this is Jonathan. Hey, can I get Greg? That person becomes your regular. Now you've got 15 or 20 or 30 regulars. You remember what they want. You know that they want a Corona and they want a lime with it and they want some salt on a napkin or whatever weird thing that they do with their ritual there. And you just presented that to them. That literal couple seconds of extra thought equals tip and repeat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it, man.
So let's go. Well, I worked in a restaurant too, and I became like the favorited server.
Well, oh, good. Keep going.
I was just saying they would ask for me. You know what I mean? And the same thing. If there's a problem with this or that, dude, I didn't ask the manager, and the manager didn't want me to ask them either. They wanted me to take care of it. They don't want to deal with that shit. Even if there is protocol. I'm just saying, like
100%.
just give them a drink, whatever. They spilled it, this, that, just fill it up.
Yep.
And that makes the whole ship run smoother. But that goes to my next point. So, Greg, have you always been, and this is a quick answer, I got a follow-up question. Have you always been like quick to think off the, like in the pressure situation?
Absolutely. It comes from a childhood.
Comes from the childhood. Okay, excellent. So
like
that actually
hardwired in, like figured out now, make a decision, like right, wrong, or indifferent, make a decision right now.
Sounds like success after trauma. Okay, so moving on to the follow-up question then, which is into the stepping into your power. So because I want to move this from the restaurant into, we now understand that.
When I still have a tipping point, I'll go over it. I'm sorry. I'm going to get your question, but I'm going to take us to a literal tipping point of when we leave the restaurant too.
Oh, perfect. Let me just line this up for where it's going. The purpose of this is the tools that he got from the one thing led to the next. And there's a lot of power and depth in those tools. And we have power and depth in our tools that we can choose to see, or we can just choose to talk shit about them because the other people are doing.
Wow.
But yes, Greg, what is that? Yeah. What is that tipping point?
So, okay. So when I take a management position, a salary management position, I end up selling the cleaning company. By the way, I sold it for $10,000. I thought I was rich at the time. I said, what? Look at me selling companies. So now here's the thing. I did not want to be in the restaurant industry and management. I did not want the restaurant industry to own me. So I told my wife, I knew at first I thought long and hard about not accepting the position. But I just got to tell you guys, They had me take an aptitude test, and I gave them a figure, and they accepted the figure. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't think you would say yes. Like when I gave them my figure, they're like, fine. Like no negotiating. I was like, oh, I thought I was giving them a figure that we'd have to negotiate. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm a manager for you guys. Okay, point being, I knew I wanted to get into real estate. This is back in 2015. I knew I wanted to get real estate since 2012. So I accept the position, and I buy an online course for my real estate license. And I start taking the course, but I get too busy in the restaurant. I think I shared with you guys, the kitchen man, I was a service manager, kitchen manager's ahead of me, so I got to be kitchen manager. GM's ahead of me, so I got to be GM. The whole time I was in the restaurant industry for 4 years, 2015, 2019. The whole time I was in the restaurant industry, so I get into management within a couple months, get into the position. So now when I get into the upper level management, I'm getting quarterly and annually bonuses. I used to work at a concept, TGI Fridays in Opry Mills, very high volume store. And I would see as a KM, I would see sometimes $5,000 quarterly bonuses, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 annual bonuses.
Well, and so what did that teach you about distractions?
I took almost every single penny of it, and I was putting it into a savings account to start real estate business. Nice. For 4 years. Almost every penny of it. Mind you, I would say things in the restaurant industry. I would say constantly, I'd say, listen, when I leave, and everyone started to say, you're leaving? I said, well, not today, but I'm not going to retire here. I started the restaurant game with the end in mind. I knew real estate was happening. The whole time I was studying, I bought my first suit while I was in the restaurant industry. I had no use for it. It sat in my closet, but I bought it. I started buying nice clothes. I started buying nice shoes. I wasn't wearing this stuff at all. I'd never wore this kind of nice clothes before. I didn't even know how to wear it. I felt weird in it. It was in my closet. I swear. It was in my closet. Every time I'd get a bonus, I'd tell my wife, I'm done. I'm done. Because it's stressful. And I'd look at the account. And then I'd get that check. And I'd look at the account and say, I probably could do 90 more days. Give me another bonus check. I probably could do 90 more. So that's how it went. I mean, it went quarter to quarter. Like I probably could do 90 more. I probably could do 90 more. And then I had a boss. And so we, the fact of the matter is we all have traumas and things. It was nothing disrespectful. It was not, I had a boss that would not stop challenging me. And I'm like, dude, like I'm here to fucking help the company. Why do you keep challenging me? And I shit you not, I woke up one day and I told my wife, I said, I'm not going to take this energy no more. I'm ready to launch. And that was the tipping point. Like that gentleman did not disrespect me in any way, shape, or form. He had his traumas that he was projecting. Like, why are you challenging me all the time? We work for the same effing team. Like, I'm a big time winner and I want you to win. Stop challenging me. Help me if you need to help me. That was the final straw that I said, you know what? I'll never be at the top of the food chain in corporate America. There's constantly going to be this guy ahead of me that's, like you can't outclimb the ladder. And so I full on put a resignation notice in. The regional vice president flew in, have a conversation, asked me to reconsider. And I told him I'd sleep on it. And I woke up the next morning and I called him and I said, I've fully considered this. I'm 100% committed to my decision.
Nice.
Yeah, that was it, man.
Wow.
That was the tipping point. Deciding that I wasn't going to take that energy from people. Again, this guy wasn't disrespectful. So what? So is life. But deciding what energy I was going to allow myself to play in or not, for real. Like committing to leaving. When I left the restaurant industry, I did not have my real estate license yet. I have kids. I have child support. I have insurance. I have a house. And we went from making, I don't know, a little bit over 6 figures to zero.
Right. But you did have savings.
We did have savings.
You had a cushion there so that you could learn a new skill. And the cushion, that cushion allowed you to have a little bit of time. You bought enough time so that you could, hey, I'm going to get in here. I remember, was MCE the first place that you were in real estate or no? Yeah. I mean, so all in most people aren't going to understand this, but anyone in real estate, I actually joined right out of, real estate school. I actually joined first to EXP. Oh, okay. It's a cloud brokerage. It's kind of like a multi-level platform, but like you can MLM, hire, it's set up to where you can bring people in underneath you and you can make some money off of them. And then it's also has the online tools and whatever
Overrides on
else.
revenue share and profit share. So I wasn't with him that long, and nothing took place there. And then MCE was really where I began cutting my teeth.
Yeah, that's for those of you who do or don't know, that's a place that was called Music City Experts. And that's where Greg and I actually became friends, was at MCE. And I think both of us were wearing shorts.
I think so. I think so.
You're painting that you painted the picture with these very nice clothes, but I think we were both in like shorts and a tank top or shorts and a t-shirt when
I
we
think
met.
so. I think
I
so.
think you were. Yeah, I remember. I have a photographic memory. So do you. You can just ask for it. It's there. You had a blue shirt on and some
Yeah.
sunglasses on your head.
Dude, I
So this
love it,
guy,
man. And that was it. So yeah, and so once I got into real estate, that's when I truly that was not the single, like, life wasn't all of a sudden all better that day, but truly making that decision to that was the decision to step into my power. That was the decision. That was the day where all this began.
amazing. Amazing. Wow. How are we doing on time? Because this is, we're going to need a third interview, or do you want to go through real estate?
No, dude, if you want to, so we're about 25 minutes in. If you want to hammer out a little bit of
Guys,
stepping in
let's
power
talk
real estate,
about,
or
yeah. And man, real estate is a really fun subject. And I'm also in real estate and I understand the subject with a lot of depth. And I would like to speak about this in a way that if you're in real estate, you can appreciate. And if you also are just looking to own a home one day, you can also appreciate. But Greg, let's talk about that. You're in real estate. You've shifted, you've joined a new company, which, by the way, the brokerage, the company is just whoever holds your license. When you have a license, you have to put it somewhere. So again, that's where him and I
yeah.
met. But
Well, to help people outside of
yeah,
to help
Greg.
people outside of real estate, to help people outside of real estate, the way I explained to them what a brokerage, right? Because you're an entrepreneur, you're self-employed, you're an independent contractor,
Yes.
and then the brokerage thing, right? So that can get confusing. Like, you work for the brokerage, and like, no, so much so that we actually have to pay the brokerage about
Right.
$20,000 a year. Music City Experts was about $20,000 a year, maybe it was
Right.
$25,000 a year,
Yeah.
and I would pay the brokerage to hang my license there.
Some of us paid more than that.
Some of us paid more. So here's the thing for people that are considering getting in real estate or not in real estate. The way I view it is my broker works for me because I paid him. And that should be a healthy relationship with your broker, the way I see it.
I 100% agree. Your broker should be actively out there creating stuff to make your job better.
Because you're paying the broker. The broker's not paying you.
100%.
That could be seen a million different ways, but that's Greg's take on it.
Yeah. We don't need to go into that. Let's go into, okay. So Greg's got his license at the brokerage, and you're starting. You've got like, are you aware? So also, what skills and what kind of offering did you have in your mind then? Like, what was that like?
So from all the books that I read, I thought that I knew how to communicate well at the time. And by the way, I was probably ahead of the average person, but I was nowhere near where I'm at now. And I definitely felt that I was very good at leadership. So my last position in leadership, every single manager under me was promoted. Every single manager under me. My assistant general manager was promoted to assistant general manager. When I left, he became the general manager. He is now an agent on my team. So everyone grew underneath me. Not except that one guy. Everyone grew underneath me. So I knew I felt comfortable with my ability to communicate, and I felt really good with my ability to lead and empower and help people grow. So I thought this was enough. When I got in real estate, I know nothing about real estate. I have no real estate background. You guys heard the story. I got in real estate and I was like, I'll just love on people. And I went out and I was loving on people. There's an algorithm for everything. And the restaurant's algorithm is not real estate's algorithm. So I went 6 months without making any form of money in real estate, no transactions closed. And I dried up 95% of our savings and I was making no money. My wife supported the heck out of me. The most amazing. You guys are gonna have to take me at face value. The whole fucking time. Like, there was periods where there was like a couple dollars left in the bank account, And my wife's sitting there smiling. She ain't putting no stress on me. And I'm in the bathroom like, I'm about to ruin our whole family. And she's over here just smiling and supporting me. Like I was second guessing everything that I thought I knew about life. We're 6 months into real estate, no transactions. And so what's that tipping point? I mean, ultimately, I like literally, like I said, I'm not like, I refuse. We talked about it before, Greg, like if it doesn't, like Greg figures out a way. So I literally like a day arose that was like I have to go get a job or I have to make this work now, like yesterday. And I really committed to myself. I was like, I'm going to make when we talk about faith, nothing else said that I was in the right direction. All logic said bail 10 minutes ago. I
Yeah,
really
that's
believed.
so just expand on that a little bit, please. That's a really powerful thing. In fact, that's something that I've confronted really recently. And I used the word trust fall when Greg and I were talking earlier. But Greg, talk about this faith a little bit, because it might
Dude,
not be like faith can, the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain, is not written for no reason.
I believe, okay, I'm not going to translate this into religion, and furthermore, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I believe I'm not asking you guys to believe, but because you asked for my I'm going to offer you I genuinely believe in my heart. I mean, I don't know how else to quantify for you guys. I just don't. I just don't know how to. I believe in my heart that I'm very congruent with what I'm doing in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Very congruent. Very congruent. I mean, I have plans. My son is 7. I have plans to have enough financial freedom. I didn't say to be rich and wealthy and to have enough financial freedom in the next 3 years to be able to homeschool my son from the age of 10 to 18. He'll be in 4th grade. I'll have missed 33% of his schooling. I'll get to control 66%. My son is on the spectrum. I am going to figure out how to speak to him in a way that he gets ahead of other 18-year-olds by the time he's 18. He is my case study and my proof of concept for what I'm going to sell in 11 years from now to help other people teach their autistic kids. This is just one little tiny part of what I'm doing. We didn't talk about NLP yet, and real estate and investments, teams and other business and venture capitalism. I am very congruent. I'm going there. I can remember what it's like when I used to be there in the future. I'm going there. I believe in my heart. I wish I could quantify this differently, but I believe in my heart that I don't have to I don't look at the ground. I just keep walking forward and the ground will appear the very second before my foot hits the ground.
That's the ticket right there. I think that's the connecting point.
When I have been without faith, it is because I was trying to manipulate the situation for short-term personal gain. You might not have faith that you'll make $10,000 next month, but you can have faith that it'll all work out in the next 20 years. In the times where I wasn't able to actually have faith, I was trying to manipulate the situation for short-term gain.
Yeah. Amen.
Nothing about what in 11 years from now, none of this said, even when I talked about selling the program, I didn't say I'm going to get rich because I sold the program. I said I'm going to help other people that have autistic children.
That's a very big why.
And that's only a piece. That's only a piece. That's a piece. Like it's a really cool and it is a big piece. But dude, we have like several other things going on now that in 11 years from now are going to be massive.
By the way, when I see Greg interacting with Xander, it's probably the most unmistakable, happiest form of Greg that I've seen. And you just did it dude, right there.
I felt it, man. I felt it when you said that, dude.
Well, I want the listeners to feel it too, because that's a huge deal to this man. And I'm almost like teary-eyed. Think about it. But like, it's not because he looks at Xander like, oh, he's like less than. He looks at him like he is this like special giant blessing full of joy. Yeah. And like Xander is full of joy. He's so happy and kind and smart and creative, and his imagination is unscathed. Like, do you understand how important imagination is? And do you realize what these things have done to, like, phones have done to ruin kids' imaginations nowadays? But Xander has a brilliant imagination. And I am here 1000% to support you for that. Also, would like you to know my mom homeschooled all of us, and my dad was financially stable enough to support that. And I truly believe that's why I have 10 siblings, all of whom are successful, and 0 of us have a college degree. And like by successful,
badass.
I mean well over 6 figures in earnings, creative entrepreneurial jobs. You know what I mean? We've always understood how to adapt, all of us adapt and create and then achieve. And a lot of us too have inspired people. I'm not trying to steal the show. I'm just simply saying
No, no.
homeschooling is a huge, huge, huge passion. I have 3 girls and they're homeschooled. Well, the youngest is 1 and some change, but the older 2 are homeschooled. The fact that we can get, it's not even controlling the material. It's more like the fact that we can give them the material that their heart and soul is looking for is beautiful.
Bingo. Bingo.
This is amazing.
When I love, like, like, here's the other thing that I tell people, like, the fish can't climb the tree that good, but the monkey can't swim that well. And so in the classroom, if the 90% of the other kids are monkeys and Xander's the fish, like, first of all, I don't want him to miss out on the information. But for all the people that would say, "Oh, the school system, the school system," what about the other 90% of the kids? They're monkeys. They need to be taught how to climb the tree. I'm responsible that he's a fish. Get over here. I'm gonna teach you how to swim. Don't worry about the trees.
Sure.
We're not even pushing the trees, and the school's not wrong because they need to teach the monkeys how to climb the tree.
I mean, I get it. So your initial offering with real estate was thought of because your success in these other things that had the leadership. Just diving back in that real quick.
Yeah.
You found out over 6 months that ain't working.
That ain't it.
Ain't it. So then you started really connecting with people.
Well, no.
Okay, what did you do? What did you do to Faith?
But and I'll give you the final tipping point, because in the next 90 days I made over $100,000.
How did you do it?
I made over $100,000 in the next 90 days. Okay. So I decided to have faith. So I said, faith was, logically, it's time to bail like 10 fucking minutes ago. Logically. So faith was, 10 minutes ago, like the clock went off.
10 weeks ago.
10 weeks ago was the fucking time. Yeah. Right. Right. So logically this didn't make sense to go forward. So faith said, I believe, when I launched real estate, like, I just believe my core. I wish I could quantify that differently for you guys. So I said, hey, I got to keep going. I will not be allowed to fail as long as I do the things. And the things are not sitting in this fucking bathroom crying about myself. Okay. So that's the initial. So we come out the gate swinging. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Whoa, flop. And then faith says, let your ego stay in the bathroom. Get up, go do the things. So faith, start. Then what changes everything, you said, did you start connecting with people more? I didn't know how to connect with people that well. I didn't. So what I did know was how to, just like the restaurant industry, I said, dude, just like you talked about, you look at that table and like, this guy needs help keeping these people corralled. So I started meeting people, had nothing to do with real estate, and just give first. I'm being dead serious. So give first. Now, nothing logically says this is we're about to be fucking broke. I'm not here like, who needs help? Who needs time? Who needs money? Oh, what do you want to call me? Right? I'm good to just, I see we got a little bit unstable. Hopefully we keep going here. Start giving first, and you it all the time. So after what I've lived, stuff just control. I do not. Who will do business? Who wants to get motivation? Come get motivated. And then 3 of the people are like, "Hey, do we get paused? Okay. So
no, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. And so I just give first. So I gave the example of like I'm just like, so most people go through and they're like, who will do business with me, and then how do I get that person to do business with me? I live in business. I'm telling y'all, I live in business in a manner of I have no clue who does business with me. So I need to get everyone. I'm like, hey, who wants free pancakes? Right? It's a metaphor, right? It's figurative speaking. Like, who wants free? Okay, yeah, free hey, who needs motivation? And inevitably, two or three people come up to me and they're like, hey, Greg, that was really cool. How did you do the tie thing? Oh, well, because of this. Oh, do you know how to do? Oh, can I get involved in that? I call this process reverse selling. They are asking me if they can get involved in what I'm doing. This is how real estate took off for me. In the next 12 months, so 6 months, we did nothing in real estate. In the next 12 months, we did just shy of $10 million in real estate volume. Now,
Nice.
for people not in real estate, there's humans that do 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 million a year in real estate volume. So 10 is not the sexiest, but also to give Greg a little credit, I think the average is under 2 mil a year. It's probably under 1 mil a year. I don't know.
I think the average realtor makes 30,000.
Which so about
Actually,
a mil. So about a mil.
the average realtor makes about 30 grand a year.
So that's about a mil in volume is going to be close to that 30 marker. So about 10 times what the average person. Not the biggest fish in the room, but we did some cool stuff and just kept going from there. Give first. So faith and give first are really truly the most transparent things that I did.
Yeah, I see that. So let's move forward a little bit. That's echoed into your current state. Greg, let's take the elephant out of the room. Or let's bring the elephant into the room. So when did you discover NLP?
What?
You talked about, hold on. You've said several times you were not that good of a communicator.
Yes.
That's because you know now how to communicate so much better than you did then.
Yeah.
And I would agree on some levels that you weren't that good of a communicator, but at the same time, you weren't the worst.
Right. Fair.
But how did you discover NLP? Like, you were obviously looking for it, but like, what were you looking for?
Dude, I love that. I tell you what, let's do one more series on this and let's dive into the whole NLP piece. Cause oh my gosh, I think we're getting close to that 45-minute marker.
Okay. Let's cap it here. The next show we do is going to be, we've talked about real estate. We've talked about Greg's progression up that. And by the way, guys, listen, I need to know what I'm doing on these interviews that you like. And I also need to know how Greg's responding to them that you like. We need to know this. We would love some feedback in the comments. We would love to answer your questions. Go ahead and drop it in the box, send us an email. Let's get this conversation rolling. But the next one will be a 45-minute talk. And we're going to start with, why or how did you discover NLP? And then what the fuck made you go to another state to study it? So we'll get that next time. Okay. But Greg, thank you so much for sharing so much of your personal life and your business life and that beautiful bit about Trina and then also about Xander. Thank you so much for sharing all that. It's always fun interviewing you, and I can't wait for the next episode.
Dude, I appreciate it. Dude, I appreciate it, man. You make it so like you have a unique ability. Anyone that knows Mike, you have a unique ability of really just kind of reading people and helping them pull all these parts out. You make it so easy and so fun. Definitely put our questions or comments you guys have, post them for us, and we look forward to seeing you next week. The next 12 weeks are sponsored by Alex Jimenez. Alex is a coach, a speaker, and a VA home loan specialist. To learn more about how Alex Jimenez is serving the veteran community as well as our local community, go to ajnashville.com.